I know a lot of Jet fans were having a heart attack. They really were, because this was turning into another Sam Darnold situation. It really was. And it wasn't Joe Douglas with Sam Darnold. It was Mike Maccagnan. Right. Mikey Mack, okay, which they called him, who's no longer with the Jets organization. He's no longer, I don't even know if he's with any organization right now. But when
he's the GM of Adam Gase's over 40 football league. He started with Frank Gore.
Is he?
No, that was a joke.
I'm starting to figure that might be true. But
when Frank Gore turns 40, that'll happen, though.
I look at the Sam Darnold thing. It took them almost a week and a half to get Sam Darnold done. And it didn't take a week and a half. It took a couple of days to get this moving forward. Maybe less than a week to get Zach Wilson to sign the contract, which anybody that thought that the Jets on Joe Douglas wasn't going to figure something out, you're crazy. What Joe Douglas was trying to do was make sure that even the bonus wasn't going to affect their salary cap next year, when they're going to have 70 or 78, maybe even $80 million on the board, where they can bring in free agents, and in the future and bringing in free agents and paying guys like Marcus May if they decide to do that, or Quentin Williams. So they have to make sure that they're protecting themselves moving forward with some of the players that they have on their roster now that are their top players. So I wasn't surprised that was going on. I was surprised that it took as long as it did. And maybe I don't blame Zach Wilson. You don't attack anybody because they want as much money as they possibly can. This kid deserved it. He earned his way to the NFL. So why not try to pull as many millions of dollars you possibly can get from the New York Jets organization?
Yeah, the other thing, too, is with Joe Douglas, again, the way he's run the Jets so far, just like he did with the Ravens, he's not going to overpay anybody drastically. We don't see it a lot with rookies as it is, but, again, you do have some exceptions. And with a second overall pick type quarterback in a quarterback-heavy league now, then maybe, again, you're trying to avoid something. Jacksonville gave Trevor Lawrence a lot of money, I think $9.5 million per year or something like that, which is a pretty big rookie contract. But, again, you don't really see that in general. So I think that kind of thing is maybe they were trying to meet in the middle, and that's why it took a while. You were definitely right about the fact that the loss of reps could definitely hurt Zach Wilson, but now he's working well with these guys so far and these receivers, which is good to see.
And it's so funny. I was at the gym today, and I was talking to one of these guys that were working out, and he bet me $50 that Lawrence will have better numbers than Zach Wilson this year, which I started to laugh. I said, I'll bet you $50 that he won't. Who is Lawrence throwing to? Who is he throwing to? Tim Tebow?
And Laviska Shenault.
Tim Tebow. Okay.
Maybe 10 times a year, we'll see.
Corey Davis, Denzel Mims, Moore. The Jets, actually, one of their strengths going into this season is wide receivers. This has been a very big weakness for the Jets year in and year out. They don't have the weapons. They didn't have the weapons. They traded away weapons to go to other teams, a.k.a. Robbie Anderson, who had a good season last year, even though I said he had his better seasons with the Jets. I look at the Jets. The Jets have the weapons this year where they can succeed with the running game, adding Michael Carter Jr. and obviously Coleman. I think this team is going to be electrifying offensively. The question is what they're going to do in the secondary with their defense. Now, obviously, Saleh is a defensive-minded guy. He brought in another defensive-minded guy, obviously their defensive coordinator, that fits what Saleh likes to do defensively. So, and Quentin Williams is no pushover. He's going to be a guy that's going to be very beastly at the line of scrimmage in a 4-3 defense. I've been talking about Quentin Williams playing in a 4-3. I said that about Leonard Williams when he was here with the Jets. If he played in a 4-3, he's going to be beastly. He went to the Giants, Ramsey's defense. He had, 13 sacks last year?
Yep.
So
second most among interior defensive linemen.
I mean, he could have been doing that with the Jets all these years. Could you imagine Quentin Williams and Leonard Williams right now in a 4-3 defense? I mean, that's scary how good they could be. But unfortunately, it just didn't work out that way. And Quentin Williams is a better player than Leonard Williams. Nobody's going to argue that. He's faster, he's bigger, he's stronger, and he's younger. So this is a kid. He is coming off a foot injury. It's going to take him. He's back. He's training right now. I don't know how healthy, 100% healthy he is, but he says, and I've heard, that he is going to be 100% before season starts. So Quentin Williams is a guy, one of the reasons why Saleh took this job. Yeah. Some people say he's going to be a top 3 lineman this year. If you watched him play against the Rams before he got sick in that game against the Rams, he had a concussion. He was throwing up all over. Quentin Williams was dominating the game. He was outplaying Aaron Donald, who I believe is the best all-around defensive player in the league. It's not even an argument. Yep. He was playing better than Aaron Donald was on the other side of the ball. So to me, if Quinn Williams could stay healthy, Quinn Williams could do remarkable things in this 4-3 with Rankins now and Carl Lawson as healthy and looks great, the speed guy off the edge. This could be a very dangerous defensive line, Speedy.
Yep. Best interior when healthy, best interior 4-3 defensive tackle duo in the league. The Colts are kind of a close second, but the Jets have it right now with Rankins is a top 5 pass rushing type and a great run stopper when he's healthy too. And now you add Quinnen Williams into the mix when he's healthy. I love the upside with Quinnen Williams. He definitely showed it when he was healthy, especially in the second half of the season last year. And with the 49ers, the way they worked with Salah's system, even when their guys got hurt, and obviously they traded Buckner last year to the Colts, they had other guys that stepped up in that system and played well, got pressure on the quarterback. And remember, that was also with Nick Bosa out for most of the season too. So the Jets, even with their depth guys, could work. And a lot of those depth guys down the stretch played well last year when Quinnen Williams was hurt. So getting those guys involved, maybe as power rushers or power pass rushers and nickel and dime defenses, can make a lot of things work too. The other thing that's going to be interesting too, you brought up the defensive coordinator, Jeff Ulbrich.
Yep.
Worked with the Falcons last year. Fred Warner for the 49ers and Deion Jones with the Falcons, both tremendous middle linebackers, too. You wonder how much that's going to help C.J. Mosley. Now, granted, C.J. Mosley is a different type.
He's a great player, too.
He's a different type than Warner and Jones. Those are more speed guys, whereas Mosley...
Also, the two linebackers they brought in, that they moved from safety to the linebacker position, which every linebacker, when it comes to Mosley, when it comes to the kid that they brought
Jared
from...
Davis, yeah.
They've been talking high about these two kids that they brought, one from Florida State and the other one from, I think,
the
Auburn.
hybrid guys, yeah.
The hybrid guys that they think they're going to be fantastic guys in the open field, especially covering tight ends.
Right.
They think they're going to be very, very good.
And if the Falcons also had a lot of those guys too. When DeMonte KZ stepped up, when all their safeties got hurt, they had that with Devondre Campbell when they brought him in. Now he's with the Cardinals. He was a safety converted to linebacker, so they know what they're doing with Ulbrich knows what he's doing with that kind of too. Now Salah's specialty is more with the defensive backs, moving them around with corners and safeties, but definitely the hybrids should work in that area as well. But I'm definitely encouraged from Mosley, even though he's a different type of linebacker than Jones and Warner, that system could help him work to bounce back too.
Oh, I think it's going to be fun. I think the Jets are going to be a lot better than people think they're going to be. They have a pretty young, stacked team. They're one of the youngest teams in the NFL right now. Not even a question. You can't even argue that. Their quarterback's 21 years old. Their wide receiver's 21 years old. A lot of people believe Elijah Moore is going to be. Some people are saying Elijah Moore in 3 years from now, we're going to go back to that draft. He's going to be the best wide receiver in that draft. And people won't even – and that was a stacked first round when it comes to wide receivers. There's a lot of people believe Elijah Moore is going to be the best one in this year's draft class. So if that's true, the Jets definitely landed on a guy that not only can really solidify that wide receiving core, he's going to be a guy that the Jets have never had. They've never had a guy that was an elite wide receiver that was that dominant and a guy that they drafted, their guy. So it's, I know everybody's going to say Klecko. Klecko was a good player. He played multiple positions, but and I believe Klecko was a Hall of Famer. We have never seen an electrifying guy like this before. Never. I want to hear about Wayne Corbett and what's his name again in the 80s that, I'm sorry.
Altoon and guys like that.
All these different guys. And Altoon was a great player. But this guy could be so electric. You're talking about a Tyreek Hill type of player. That's the type of player that the Jets have. And they say he has even better hands than Tyreek Hill.
Huh.
So, to me, he could turn out to be the gunslinger for Zach Wilson, which they've built a good relationship. And Michael Carter Jr., which we've been hearing so many good things about, they're talking about him being the number one guy on the depth chart moving forward at the beginning of the season. So, the Jets, there's a lot to talk about the Jets and a lot of fun arguments. But George Font, obviously Saleh went to George Font after they brought in Morgan Moses and said that, you guys are going to be fighting for the position. And George Font's a man, and you heard what Saleh said, that he's going to do everything he can to win that job. Who knows what happens? They did bring Morgan Moses in to play the right tackle position. Yeah. They did. And I think he's going to win it. George Font will do everything he can to try to fight that.
I just want to ask you, do you know if Klecko has any Hall of Fame eligibility left?
I don't know.
Because they actually, about a month ago,
he should be in the Hall of Fame.
Did a lot of advanced stats where they've calculated the sacks in the pre-sack era, because sacks only became an official stat in 1982. I don't know when he started playing, but if they gave him some of the sacks back.
Just think about that. He played defense and offense. Just think about that.
Like the 70s are really the only.
But he was a great defensive player and a great offensive player.
Okay. Yeah. Because they put a lot of those guys' stats back. So actually, Michael Strahan now doesn't have the single season record anymore. It's actually, I think, Al Baker is his name from the Detroit Lions, who now has who had 23. And a lot of the all-time stats are shifted too. So I was just curious because then if Klecko gets a boost from that, I don't know how long he played before 1982. He might get in as a result if he has eligibility left.
He deserves it. He absolutely deserves it. And I'm trying to look at what position, like where do they put him? Like,
they label him, I think, as a defensive tackle, but he also played end as well. Again, if he has enough sacks as a defensive tackle.
He was also an offensive player.
Yeah. If he has enough sacks combined with that as a defensive tackle, that's going to help him get in, too. Because there's not a lot of defensive tackles that have, like, these insane sack numbers, too. Because a lot of them are nose tackle types, too. It's really only John Randall, Alan Page, and Warren Sapp. And
yeah, because I'm looking at it right now, and I'm trying to, but it doesn't show his offensive numbers. It just shows his defensive numbers.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure he's an offensive player. He was an offensive player. Am I wrong?
Yeah, that's what I thought too, at least in some tight end and offensive tackle.
That's what I think he was. I think he was a tight end.
Maybe fullback too, I would imagine so. So I think, there were definitely some cases.
No, they put him at positions. They put him as defensive tackle, nose tackle, defensive end. So he never played wide. I'm pretty
That's
sure.
That's weird. I thought he did too. Okay.
I thought he did too. I really did think he was.
I have to see, maybe Pro Football Reference has some kind of snap count thing that maybe you could look at that kind of thing too, because he was doing it obviously.
I wasn't alive for Klecko. Okay. I never really got a chance to watch him play. I know he was a great defensive player. We all know that he was a great defensive player, but I'm pretty sure he was an offensive player too.
Yeah, because they had some of those kind of hybrid type players, a lot of defensive tackles that lined up as fullbacks and sometimes extra offensive linemen and stuff like that. And I thought Klecko was one of those guys. So unless they don't have those stats eligible yet, then maybe that's the case.
Who knows? We all know he was part of the sack exchange.
Yes.
We know what he was, and defensively he was fun to watch, but. I watched clips of him. I never got a chance to see him play because I was a young man when he was playing. I don't even think I was alive when he was done.
I don't know when he started. That's why I'm saying he might get those sack numbers back because the sacks only became an official stat in 1982. And I found that very interesting with a lot of the way that the Hall of Fame voting is going to be with a lot of these guys that, again, like you said, he should get in, and they're on the borderline because of that, because they were those pre-sack type pass rushers. That's why a lot of these older pass rushers have had a lot of trouble getting in too, and they've only gotten in recently.
He started in 1977.
Okay, so he has 5 years worth to get that back. So he could get in now with the adjusted numbers type things.
It doesn't really say anything. I thought he played offense. Maybe I'm thinking of somebody else.
Yeah, I don't know. But again, they might not.
I know he was a great. We were just talking about offensive players, and we went to Joe Klecko, but. Joe Klecko was a great player. He should be in the Hall of Fame. It's a shame that he's not in the Hall of Fame. I've heard so many experts think that he was definitely a quality player and good enough. But before we go to break, I want to get into the Giants. And Speedy, you're a Giant fan, and training camp has started for the New York Giants. Is there anything that sticks out? I mean, we heard about the Kelvin Benjamin thing, taking shots at Joe Judge, and Joe Judge said what he said, and now it's gone back and forth. And I'm not surprised Kelvin Benjamin opened his mouth. I mean, he came into camp overweight. He wasn't 100% healthy. They tried to work him in, and he just couldn't make the cut. And I didn't think he was going to make the cut anyways.
It's interesting because they brought in these other tight end types that, again, Kyle Rudolph's now on the team. They still have Rhett Ellison there. And
Kyle Rudolph was a steal.
Yeah, and again, those guys that's who they're fighting with. So the Giants are actually one of the teams that has multiple tight ends that can make it work. And so him trying to make it as that.
And they got one that's has pot hands.
Yes, well, Kelvin Benjamin does too. So they're kind of the same in that sense. Kelvin Benjamin looked like he was a good receiver for 4 years, and all of a sudden he got pot hands too. So
Mr. England.
Now he's cut, and again, his comments about it. And again, it's not surprising. He's always been kind of an outspoken guy throughout his career as it is. I mean, he might be right. We'll see what the jury's still out on Joe Judge or what he is as a coach. But so far, I've liked the way he's coached. Again, he's brought that kind of discipline to the team.
He's got good defensive coordinator.
He's got a good defensive coordinator. Again, the offensive line is still.
Who should have had a job in the offseason.
Yeah, again, it's a lot harder for defensive coaches to get the job.
He didn't take the job what was offered him. I think he got offered the Lions job.
Oh, well, the Lions. But going back to the Giants, they have the one concern is definitely so far that has been their offensive line. They're still trying to get a lot of things adjusted with that. They're trying, especially Matt Pert, who was a guy that could have started last year. Now they lost Shane Lemieux. So a lot of those fringe guys that are trying to take the place of Kevin Zeitler now, those are definitely concerning spots for them. You still have to see what they happen with the other tackle spot. And obviously Andrew Thomas obviously still good. But again, can he make that big leap that the other tackles made is the other question with him.